What's going on, fam? You know how to jump in here with you on this. Let me tell you something. I'm blown away. Let me tell you what I'm blown away about. If you ever wanted to know and understand whether or not blacks, Latinos, and Native Indians have ever been a part of the empire, you about to find it out.
I've been in law enforcement for 10 years, and I'm speaking to my peers, other fellow officers, people in any kind of law enforcement position. I've seen officers nationwide enforcing tyrannical orders against the people, and I'm hoping it's a minority of officers, but I'm not sure anymore, because every time I turn on the television, every time I look to the internet, I'm seeing people arrested or cited for going to church, for traveling on the roadways, for going surfing, opening their businesses, going to the park with their families, or doing nails out of their own house, using their own house as a place of business, and having undercover agents go there and arrest them and charge them with what? With a crime?
First of all, you probably heard about this. A police officer, and I'm going to play the tape for you, out in Seattle, made a tape about the constitutionality of the arrest that him and his fellow officers have been making. The video went viral. It got all on the news. People started talking about it all over the place. Then other officers joined in on the video and made their own videos. And they all talking about this. But what was amazing to me in this video, and I think you'll be able to see the same thing, is that these officers only became highly concerned with what was being said once it became an issue for white people. Like, nowhere in here are they saying, yo, we got to stop treating blacks the way we've been treating them, Latinos the way we've been treating them. Nowhere in here is that even mentioned. But instead, the constitutionality of what's being done to their people during this time is now, of course, a big deal. Now, let me tell you something. This right here should let you know that you never ever had a part in this kingdom at all, man. This should let you know. Check it out.
I've been in law enforcement for 10 years, and I'm speaking to my peers, other fellow officers, people in any kind of law enforcement position. I've seen officers nationwide enforcing tyrannical orders against the people, and I'm hoping it's a minority of officers, but I'm not sure anymore, because every time I turn on the television, every time I look to the internet, I'm seeing people arrested or cited for going to church, for traveling on the roadways, for going surfing, opening their businesses, going to the park with their families, or doing nails out of their own house, using their own house as a place of business, and having undercover agents go there and arrest them and charge them with what? With a crime? I don't know what crime people are committing.
Once again, he's shocked. He's like, I don't know what crime people are committing. What are you arresting them for? And did you hear what he said when he described the different incidences, man? People opening their businesses, people doing nails in their house. But meanwhile, he's never questioning the constitutionality of the massive amount of brutal attacks that are happening on blacks and Latinos every day. Which shows you, this should show you, that you have nothing to do with the empire. Soon as the empire starts arresting their people, then all of a sudden it's a rebellion from the cops. And this guy got fired or suspended or something like that. And then other officers came into his rescue and made tapes as well. And meanwhile, and nowhere in here do they say we've been doing this evil for a long time to blacks and Latinos. Nothing mentioned about their arms and legs broken, about attacking black people with dogs, letting the dogs bite and rip up the legs of black people, almost like you ripping up the leg of a runaway slave so that he could no longer run no more. Nothing said about that. Nothing said about how quick they are to pull the trigger on black people. I mean, a hair's trigger and you in trouble. A hair's trigger and they ready to pull the trigger on you. None of that being discussed. None of that being said. None of that even coming up in this conversation. But yet it still went viral, and you could tell, he feels some kind of way in his heart, like he's no longer upholding the Constitution. When they don't feel as though they're not upholding the Constitution while they're beating you half to death, which is proof positive, which of course I'm going to show you in the scriptures. It's proof positive that you are the chosen people and that you never were brought here to be a part of this empire. Your preacher lied to you, man. He said he's been a cop 10 years. And you telling me in 10 years he hasn't seen, he say he's watching the television, he's watching the internet. He doesn't see all the videos, the thousands and thousands of videos of what is being done to blacks and Latinos. And he's never spoken out on it. Never said a word about it. But yet all of a sudden now he's going to say something about it because, of course, you telling white people they can't do nails in the house. You telling white people that they can't go to the park with their families. You telling them they can't do the slightest little thing that they want to do, and the cops rebel on you like this is unconstitutional. But they don't even think for a minute. They're bashing your head in, dragging you through the streets, pulling you out of your car, illegally searching you, assaulting you, endless murders. They don't think they have no problem with it. And here's the thing. He said in this video, I'd like to think it's just a few officers, but I'm not sure anymore because of all the videos he saw. So once again, he's seeing thousands of videos of cops doing this kind of harm to blacks and Latinos. Why hasn't he ever spoken up? Once again, they love their own. They're for their own. They look at this country as for their own. But you are the enemy to them. And it is why the Lord is going to curse this place. Let me get a little bit more of him, and then I'm going to give you a little bit more of a couple of other cops that did the same thing. Check it out.
By doing nails in their own house. But we're seeing this more and more and more. And we need to start looking at ourselves as officers and thinking, is what I'm doing right? Now, I want to remind you that regardless of where you stand on the coronavirus, we don't have the authority to do those things to people just because a mayor or a governor tells you otherwise.
Whoa. Did you hear that? Like, once again, he said he don't care if a mayor, governor, whoever tells him that. You don't have the constitutional right to do it. So what you're saying, in essence, without even saying it, is that blacks and Latinos and Native Indians, they don't have a constitutional right, even though they're American citizens, because you're watching them be violated every day. And it never prompted them to make videos like this. Neither did it ever prompt them to speak out against mayors and governors. And rarely have you ever heard police officers say that mayors and governors are not giving them, excessive brutal orders or orders that they feel are unconstitutional. If anything, you hear them constantly saying that mayors are not giving them enough authority, that they don't have enough power, that their unions are not strong enough. But when it turns around and comes to their own, then they ready to abandon their own post. This guy was told to take this video down. He refused to take it down, and they suspended him for it. He's willing to lose his job. Might have already lost his job. Waiting on this video, lost his job based on telling these people that what they're telling him to do, the orders they're giving him, are dead wrong. What about us? What about us? Which is once again why your king is Christ and your empire is the nation of Israel. And you are a slave in this empire. And them guns you see sitting up in his car, them weapons you see all sitting up in there, those are not to enforce laws against their people. Because again, he said he'd go against it, regardless of what a mayor said, regardless of what a governor said. But them weapons you see sitting up in there, those weapons are for you. Will show you that you living in a different world than this. And you need to wake up, man. You need to wake up and see that you're in a different empire, man, than they are. Okay? Let me just get a little bit more. Let me get another officer. Let me get another officer and let you check it out. Check this out.
The Constitution of the United States of America. That is the entire Constitution, not just portions of it, to include the first 10 amendments, which of course we know as the Bill of Rights. The Bill of Rights guarantees most of the freedoms that we enjoy as American citizens. The right to assemble, the right to free speech, the right to practice our religion. And the reason I'm talking about all of this is because I'm becoming troubled because of things that I'm seeing in the news lately, where I feel like many of our basic freedoms are being infringed, if not...
Wait a minute. He's seeing this in the news and saying many of his basic freedoms are being infringed. So the basic freedoms he's starting to see lately in the news are being infringed, meaning now that they're saying close your businesses, now that they're saying no, you can't gather in your churches, now that they're saying no, you can't have a nail salon or beauty salon in your house, all because of the COVID-19. Now that these things are happening, now all of a sudden, all these well-dressed, uniformed officers are feeling some kind of way, like they seeing this in the news. Why didn't they feel this way seeing their fellow officers brutalize blacks and Latinos in the streets? Because this is what blacks and Latinos and Native Indians don't understand. You don't understand, man, that they look at you different than you think. You think that they look at you like you're an American citizen and you're the same, and your preacher lies to you, man, to make you think that that's exactly how it is. When reality is, that is not how it is. And let me tell you something, with all the viral videos that you see, with all the videos you see on police brutality, you still haven't come close to touching the basics of what is really happening to you and your people in this empire, man. You haven't even come close to scratching the surface of what is really going on. And boy, oh boy, you got an uphill battle for you to wake up, because this is a different world than the world you in. Let me get a little bit more.
Not outright denied. Many times people are looking to the police to enforce these policies that are being presented. And I want to point out to everyone that our oath to the citizens we serve is to protect their constitutional rights. That is our first and foremost duty, which is why that language is the very first thing in our oath.
Boy, oh boy, can you hear that? Said, man, he's like, we got to uphold that. We're to keep that. We got to uphold that part of the Constitution. The first and foremost thing we're supposed to do is make sure that their rights are covered. What about blacks and Latinos, Native Indians? Is it their first, when they get out of that patrol car, is the first thing on their minds the rights of those blacks, Latinos, and Native Indians? Is that the first thing on their mind? Is that why we see all these videos the way we see them? When are you going to wake up, man? When are you going to open your eyes for real, and see what it is that you're dealing with? See the world that you're living in, man, the deep, deep sleep that you've been in this kingdom, man. When will you see that? Because if you were to open your eyes and see that, then you would begin to realize that you have put yourself in a horrible, horrible position in this kingdom. That you put yourself in a position believing that you're going to be loved, believing that you're going to have equal rights, believing you can march your way or follow your religious leaders, your preachers, into some type of equality. You were fooled when Barack Obama became president. You were fooled by it. You were fooled in the 60s. When Martin Luther King said we're to come together with them. Here we are, 2020, and everything that Martin Luther King sat down and told us that we to do has been wiped off the map. I mean, literally wiped off the map. Aubrey got shot down there in Georgia, Brunswick, Georgia. And I mean, that slaying, and when I watch the tape of that brother jogging and watch him getting slaughtered by those Edomites in that pickup truck, I mean, that was a 2020 old school Ku Klux Klan lynching, man. That was what you see in movies, man, like Rosewood and other movies where some bunch of pickup truck hillbillies with their guns run down some individual brother on the street and murder him in the name of the Ku Klux Klan, man. And remember, not one, two district attorneys tried to arrest him and have him locked up. And both of them were told to not lock him up. When will you learn? When will you see it? When will you see that it's not racism to want to defend yourself when racism is being used to slaughter you in the streets? If they were slaughtering, sheep, or if they were slaughtering horses, they wouldn't say, let's protect every animal in the field. They would say, let's go protect the animal that's being attacked. When the coyote comes and he only attacks the chickens, you reinforce the chicken coop. You stop the coyotes and you reinforce the chicken coop. And you take the coyotes out, is what you do. And the same should happen to us. We should be reinforcing who we are against what they're doing to you. Instead, we keep trying to fight to get in with them and for them to give us Martin Luther King's dream. And it's a nightmare. It's such a nightmare. And these officers, if you went to them and asked them, are they racist? They would say, hell no. They would say, I don't have a racist bone in my body. That's what they would say. But it is amazing how they do not even realize that they are galvanized to speak out against the unconstitutionality of the rules imposed by the government based on the coronavirus. But yet, they have no clue, let alone any voice, to speak against the brutality and the evil and the things that are being done to blacks and Latinos every day in this kingdom, man. I mean, every day, multiple times a day. They don't even say a word about it. They're not even concerned with it. But they are so concerned with this. Let me give you a little bit more. Then we go into the scriptures.
Our very first duty is to support and defend the Constitution of the United States.
Amazing.
So by implication, it is to defend the rights of the citizens we're sworn to protect and defend.
Amazing. Defend their rights.
Again, I'm pointing this all out because we don't have to look very far into history to see where ill-conceived notions by the political powers that be at any time in the past looked to the police, or I should say those policymakers, looked to the police to enforce those ill-conceived policies. And again, we don't have to look very hard to see the disastrous consequences that came as a result of some of those enforcement actions. None of us asked for this current situation. It was thrust upon us.
That he's not saying, he's not telling you, when he's not mentioning them by specific point, meaning he knows, as an old school officer, he knows that those politicians used him and other officers to brutalize blacks and Latinos in the past. He said, we know what those policies did in the past. They sucked dogs on black people and Latino people for asking for their own civil rights. Sucked water hoses on them, beat them, brutalized them, raped women, mass incarcerated them, poured drugs into their neighborhood. They did all these things as a means to oppress blacks and Latinos and Native Indians and used law enforcement to do it. They used the arm of the law enforcement to do it. And he knows this. And he's saying, we know this was bad policies in the past, but has nothing to say about it now, except that it starts to affect Esau. It starts to affect a certain portion of the population. the favored portion of the population, the beloved portion of the population, the part of the population that is considered legitimate. That part is considered a problem. But when it comes to you, not a problem. What does that mean? It means you better look to a new path. You better take that Martin Luther King dream and you better put it where it belongs, which is in the trash can. And you better ask yourself a question. What is the real new path forward? And I'll tell you, it's found in the Bible. It's found in these scriptures. I got to give you one more officer, though. You got to let me give you one more officer and let you check him out. Because there's another officer that jumped right on board, also with the first officer, and they all together in the same mindset, like, look, we got to do something about this. This is not right. Check him out.
Recently from a fellow police officer who pointed out and was very verbal about his thoughts that I believe many of us share. I decided to make my own video, encourage others to do the same. What we've seen in recent months is none other than what I believe is going to be viewed as one of the biggest power grabs in American history. We've seen the Constitution seemingly suspended and constitutional rights of citizens tossed aside under the guise of safety and security.
Wait a minute, man. What did they ever think the constitutional rights of citizens was tossed aside against blacks, Latinos, and Native Indians? Like all of a sudden, the constitutional rights of citizens are being stripped, and we as fellow officers have to speak out. Black people couldn't speak out in the football arena again over what was being done to black people. Colin Kaepernick and others got fired and thrown out and all kind of being ostracized. All of that went on. Donald Trump calling calling them sons of bitches. All of that went on, man. And it was no problem. Now you got police officers. Now all of a sudden that it is a certain portion of the population. Now all of a sudden you got straight up police officers saying they need to speak out now. They need to speak out. But you shut down black people. You burned jerseys. You tore up season tickets. You made videos and cursed out ball players for their speaking up against what was happening to blacks and Latinos.
Well, hey there, Colin Kaepernick. So you don't want to stand for the national anthem, the greatest country on earth that afforded you where you're at. That's fine. That's your choice. But it's our choice to burn every jersey, you has-been piece of shit, and make sure this world never remembers you. Burn, you motherfucker, burn. How about that for a statement, buddy?
This is what we think of you.
These football fans are burning their Colin Kaepernick jerseys, outraged at his refusal to stand for the national anthem.
If you don't love our country,
burned jerseys.
get the out of it.
You tore up season tickets. You made videos and cursed out ball players for their speaking up against what was happening to blacks and Latinos.
I'll continue to sit. I'm going to continue to stand with the people that are being oppressed.
I hope the Niners shit can your ass, you worthless piece of shit.
And now, you should see the outpouring for these officers. You should see how people are calling them heroes. The title of the video you're watching now that I just clipped to says, "Another War Hero Police Officer." Because he's going to go into how, once again, a lot of officers who went over to the Middle East and fought in the Middle East and saw the way they treated the Iraqis, came back here and realized that that is exactly the same way they treat blacks in this country, Latinos and Native Indians. And they still kept their mouth shut about it. But the minute they started to see police officers carrying out duties that were very similar to the duties they carried out in Iraq. Then they said, whoa, the government is treating its citizens the way we as an occupying force treated the Iraqis. Well, guess what? You've been treating blacks and Latinos and Native Indians like an occupying force for far longer. And the minute blacks and Latinos spoke up about it in the football arena, you went berserk, burning sneakers and jerseys and having bonfires against them. But for these people, oh, we got to stand up. God forbid they can't have a picnic. God forbid they can't gather more than 10 in their churches. God forbid they can't, have their nails done or have a nail salon in their house. God forbid, because of course it would be unconstitutional and it would be amount to tyranny. It would amount to being an occupying force on the people. But what about God's chosen people, who you've been an occupying force for 400 years, man? What about them? Which is why I implore my brothers and sisters, man. I beseech you to re-examine this book called the Bible, man. To re-examine the strategy of life that comes out of this book. I tell you, I beseech you to wake up, man, to open your eyes and to look further than yourself. Because the mindset of these people, specifically these officers, is for a sense of right and wrong. Is for a sense of constitutionality. Is for a sense of you having a Bill of Rights. But not for you. Not for you. But for them. But for you, it's okay to beat you and slaughter you and murder you in the streets. And how dare you stand up in the football arena and say something about it. But let Betty and Susie not be able to have a picnic in the park because of social distancing. Well, then somebody is trampling the Constitution. This is a totally different world than the world you live in. And it is why you must, for your soul's sake, you must find your way back. You must hear these things I'm saying and say to yourself, I got to relook at what he's saying in this Bible, man. Let me get you a little bit more, and then I'm going to the scriptures, because this right here gave me such a great insight into seeing what's in the mind. Now, if you want to understand what's in the mind of those officers for them to be so cruel to you, if you want to understand how they could be so vicious while pretending to uphold the law, you need to really look at this. Because this is why. Because you are not one of them. You are not somebody that is to be afforded the Constitution. You are not that. And they don't care what enforcement or brutality they bring on you. But if it happened to theirs, then whoa, stop the presses. Give you a little more.
Something that we've seen before as well. You know, I swore an oath to the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic, and I stand on that oath, and I will continue to stand on that oath, and there is not a human being that can alter my oath between myself and the Constitution, myself and God.
Listen, he said he'll stand on that oath no matter what, and nobody can alter it. Nobody can alter it. He'll stand on it no matter what, but this same officer has never, ever, ever said that and said, well, listen, I'm not going to beat up black suspects. I'm not going to drag them in the street. I'm not going to shoot them at a hair's clip, even if they're unarmed. I don't stand for that, and I don't stand for other officers doing it. He ain't never going to say that. Meanwhile, to him, it's like, I will always stand for the Constitution. But why wouldn't he say that then over all these years when it came to you? Because as far as he's concerned, in his subconscious, whether it be conscious or not, y'all tell me in the comments below, if it's in his subconscious or is he really thinking this on the outside. Okay, y'all let me know. I'm gonna reserve my opinion for a moment, and y'all gonna tell me your opinion of that, because I don't understand. Only thing I could see is that this cat has no idea that you even supposed to receive any constitutional rights, because otherwise he would have spoke out long time ago. Let me get a little bit more on it.
You know, choice means having multiple options. If you find yourself only looking at what you see on one news source or the other, that's not choice. You're just falling in line. You know, I ask every human being and every American citizen to question things and look at them. Look at both sides.
Did he just say question things? Come on, y'all. Did he just say, I tell people to question things? These officers mad that you even asked them a question. They shooting people for just asking, yo, why you stop me? What'd I do? You violated my rights. Why did you pull me over? I didn't do nothing. My lights ain't broken. Just for doing that, you getting dragged out the car, beat upside your head, and in some cases murdered. Murdered! For just asking that. Meanwhile, he turned around saying, man, I tell everybody, man, they should just, everybody should question things. Question things. But don't question him. Don't question him. You know what I'm saying? I'll leave the links in the description for y'all to check out the full tape. But it's time now. You know where I'm going now. We got to go to the scriptures on this, man. We have got to go to the scriptures on this. I'm going to Job first here. Job 14:7. For there is hope of a tree. Job 14:7. If it be cut down, that it will sprout again, and that the tender branch thereof will not cease. Meaning, if you cut a tree down, that you can put some water on it and sprout that tree again. In many cases. Even if the tree is gone totally dead. Like a lot of plants. A lot of seeds as well. The seed got to dry out and die before you could even plant it again in many cases. So what Job is saying, there's hope for that tree. Okay? Middle of 7th verse, Job 14:7. And that the tender branch thereof will not cease. And he's really talking about you. That it's supposed to be hope for you. That you will not cease in this dead state that you're in, man. But that you will one day be watered and come back. Let me read on. Job 14:8. Though the root thereof wax old in the earth, and you've been a slave a long time. Your people been on the bottom a long time. You've been suffering and grinding and trying to make it and living paycheck to paycheck and dealing with false hopes, hopes deferred, failures of conscience, evil brutality, racism onto the sky. You done waxed old in the earth, man, from oppressions. Middle of the 8th verse, Job 14:8. And the stock thereof die in the ground. And that's it. The root of you, man, and your history and who you are, it's dead in the ground. Right now. It's in the ground dead, man. It died in the ground. But you can make it back. But you can make it back. Let's read on. Job 14:9. Yet through the scent of water it will bud. Meaning if you pour water on it, it'll bud. And bring forth boughs like a plant. It'll start to grow again. And what Job is trying to say to you, brothers and sisters, that you have got to take on this truth, man. And wake up. That's the water that you've been looking for that you have not gotten. And you have not gotten it because Satan did a cruel plot against you by sending you to church.
Are you a kingdom without a king? Are you so busy managing the emotional relationships that you have that you don't have the energy to think the thoughts you need to think to go where you need to go? Are you so busy managing your feelings and the feeling of the people around you and trying to make them feel what you feel and need what you need and want what you want, that you're not making progress in life?
This is the potter's time.
He put a cruel plot on you by sending you to church, and you never got the water that you needed. When your Lord was trying to send you to the prophets of the Most High so you could get the right water in you, man. So that you could spring up like a plant. And the right water is that you are the 12 lost tribes of the children of Israel. Let me tell you something, man. When Paul said he came and spoke the gospel, it wasn't just love Jesus. It was that Christ died to deliver those 12 tribes back to the Father and make them a nation again. That's the good news. That's the gospel of Jesus Christ, man. The gospel of Jesus Christ is not that everybody on the earth is going into the kingdom of heaven. That is a lie. That is false water. The gospel of Jesus Christ is that the 12 tribes, which are scattered throughout every nation on the earth, will be drawn out of those nations and brought back to Christ, man. And this earth will return to becoming a paradise once again, man. That's what it is, okay? Let's read on. Job 14:9. Yet through the scent of water it will bud and bring forth boughs like a plant. 10th verse, Job 14:10. But man dieth and wasteth away. Yea, man giveth up the ghost, and where is he? And that's the problem. You that man that dies, both physically and spiritually. And when will you wake up, man? When will you wake up? 11th verse, Job 14:11. As the waters fail from the sea, and the flood decayeth and drieth up. 12th verse. So man lieth down and riseth not, till the heavens be no more. And that's you. You've lain down, man, and you have not risen up. And now the heavens are no more. Now the nations rule. And the heavens, the righteous, who should be ruling the earth, they are no more. Middle of the 12th verse. They shall not awake, nor be raised out of their sleep. You refuse to wake up. You refuse to come out your sleep. But the Lord is with you. He's battling for you. 14 and 13 verse. Job 14:13. Oh, that thou wouldest hide me in the grave. This is what Job said. He'd rather be in the grave. That thou wouldest keep me secret until thy wrath be past. Because that's how it's been. And that's how a lot of brothers feel. A lot of brothers feel like I don't even want to be part of this world anymore until the Lord decide to finish with this punishment. Well, I got news for you. We in the end of this punishment now. Now's the time to wake up and come about these graves and be blessed by the Most High and to return back to your identity and get your culture back, man, and find the truth out about who you are, because you are to rule the heavens, man. You are to rule the kingdom of heaven. Middle of the 13th verse. That thou wouldest appoint me a set time and remember me. Don't you see that's what the Lord is doing? He's appointing you, man, a set time. And you in that set time. That's the point of the coronavirus. The coronavirus is here because it is a set time. And this set time is appointed for you to come out of that grave. This set time is appointed so you could wake up and come back to the Most High. That's what it's set for, man. And this is that time. And brothers and sisters, you got to wake up and come out that time. Let me give you one more. Y'all know this one. Romans 13:11. And that knowing the time, that now it is high time to awake out of sleep. It's the time. For now is our salvation nearer than when we believe. We very close. We are very close to the end of the madness of this kingdom, man. We're very, very close to the kingdom of heaven. It's almost over. It's almost over. This is just the first wave. Okay? And the Most High will be bringing many more. But the question is, what will you do? Will you still become fuel for the fodder? Will you still be slaughtered in the streets? Will you still not pay attention to what the Lord is trying to show you so that he can watch over you? Don't you know that the Lord could send the angels to walk with you, man, and deliver you from all evil? You got to look beyond physicality, man. Don't nobody want you to look beyond your physical realm, because they don't want you to believe in nothing that you can't see. But the God of your father is an invisible power, man. He's not here physically showing himself to you. He's an invisible power. And the Bible says this through Christ. They that worship him must worship him in spirit and in truth, man. To worship the Lord, man, you must worship him in the spirit, not in just a ceremony, man, but in the spirit. Walk in the way he wants you to walk. That's what it means to worship him in the spirit. Obeying his commandments, regardless of if somebody's forcing you to or not. Not doing the things he doesn't like joining the other nations, man, who's slaughtering you. Like becoming victims by the hand of the other nations who hate you so dearly. Not by doing that. Not by doing those things that anger the Most High. But by worshiping him in spirit and being truthful in it, man. Let me get two more. Isaiah 59:10. We grope for the wall like the blind. Boy, that describes us. We like the blind groping for the wall. We don't know what to do, when to do it, how to do it. We don't know how to go forward in life. We don't know how to communicate with each other. We don't know how to operate with one another. We don't know how to love each other. We don't know how to prefer our own above them. We don't even know how to not be a slave. And the Lord said it too. We grope for the wall like the blind. And a blind man is groping for the wall because he cannot see. And you cannot see. Middle of the 10th verse, Isaiah 59:10. And we grope as if we had no eyes. We stumble at noonday, as in the night. We are in desolate places as dead men. That is so describes us. Because this doesn't say that you are physically blind. It's that you just don't know. You are blind to who you are. You are blind to what your life is supposed to be. You are blind to all the rules of life that's been given to you by the Lord in the scriptures. And you blind to how and what you should be doing to enhance those things, man. Because the enhancement of them, the full enhancement of them, is the return of Christ and the angels and the kingdom of heaven, man. That's the end result of all. At the end of all of this, this will be a record book of all that has gone on in the earth. And in the end of it, a black man will sit as ruler of the world. Despite all the nations and their attempts at ruling the earth, a black man will rule this earth in the future, man. Okay? Beginning of 11th verse, Isaiah 59:11. We roar like bears. That's how we are. We in these streets shooting up, roaring. We going off, doing all kinds of stuff. We roaring like bears. And we the baddest of the bad. But here's what the Lord said. And mourn sore like doves. We roaring, but we don't know what to roar on. We don't know how to roar. And then we end up mourning like doves because the other nations pillage and wipe us the hell out. Just do us in. It is very important that you find your identity, man. Middle of 11th verse, Isaiah 59:11. We look for judgment. We know we do that. No justice, no peace. No justice, no peace all day long. We look for judgment, but there is none, and we don't get it. These cops laying out how it is unjust to do these things to their people. To stop people in the park, to stop nail salons, to stop people from going to church. To just walking up to people in the street because they don't have a mask on. These officers feel like, man, we are violating people. But they don't never feel that way about you. You look for judgment, but there is none. Middle of 11, Isaiah 59:11. For salvation, but it is far off from us. Meaning that salvation is far off because we are far off spiritually from our holy power, from Yahweh, who is the real author and writer of the testimony known as the Bible. Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, in the name of his son, Christ. Okay? That's who we should be walking with. And instead, we're walking against him. Okay? This one is Jeremiah 22:22. Here's what the Lord had to say. Because this is not addressed like it should be from black leadership. This is what the Lord has to say about it. The wind shall eat up all thy pastors, and thy lovers shall go into captivity. And when it say the wind shall eat up all thy pastors, let me tell you something, that's heavy. Because when it say the wind, it's talking about the Spirit of the Lord. It's talking about the teaching and the breaking down of scriptures and the revealing of the understanding of the Bible. This is happening all over now, thanks to the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge, the I.S.U.P.K. It's being spread all over now. And as it's being spread all over, people are starting to wake up like a wind. Like you can't see where it's coming from or where it's going or what's going to happen with it. But all of a sudden it's getting in the mindsets of brothers and sisters. And as it's getting into the mindsets of brothers and sisters, they starting to speak up on it. They starting to look at it like, wait a minute, what my preacher's saying is not right. Okay? And as they start to look at it, they start to come up against their pastors. Start seeing their pastors as not all the way right. And so as a result, people start waking up. And they're going to start to pick up that these pastors are lying. You know what I mean? Let me show you one quick one, right? This is Kelly Rowland about 5 days ago speaking on the murder of this brother, Al-Jab. Here's what she said. According to the griot, the griot said this. Rowland expressed disappointment with prominent leaders in the community who don't seem to take the suffering of black people seriously enough. That was a heavy statement. It was a heavy statement in this, that they don't take the suffering of black people seriously. They sit in church every week, blaming the very black people who are murdered. And meanwhile, once again, I just showed you 3 officers that are outraged that the rights and Constitution of their people are mishandled. But where's the outrage of our people? Instead, our people are taught by their leaders, you got to obey what the cop said. This cop said, question everything. The cops are saying it's our fault. Once again, you have to wake up, man. Even celebrities are now starting to see, and they should have been. I mean, it's good they're seeing it now, but we've been screaming it from the rooftop, Lord knows, for the longest. And now that we've been screaming it long enough, now just maybe, it'll begin now to get heard. So anyway, let me finish up with this. The Lord said this, Jeremiah 22:22, the wind shall eat up all thy pastors. This truth is going to come out of the earth and eat up your pastors, man, your religious leaders. And thy lovers shall go into captivity. Your lovers, the nations you love, their cultures, their identity, speaking their languages, trying to be a part of them, instead of finding out your true identity. The Lord said this, man, that all of them going into captivity. They're going to all be put into captivity. And those that have loved them and gotten rich off of them for the abuse of their own people, those taskmasters, okay, that have gotten rich off of them, the Most High is going to deal with them. Surely then, middle of 22, Jeremiah 22:22, surely then shalt thou be ashamed, which they should be ashamed, and confounded for all of thy wickedness. They should be ashamed and confounded for having left you at the altar. The time was for you to be married unto Christ and to become part of his disciples and to have him rule the earth. They left you at the altar. They sent you to the wrong altar. They sent you to the altar of Satan. Wake up, come back to your own. Find out about who you are. Find out your culture, man. Hey, leave me a comment something in the comments and tell me what you think about the whole thing and about what these cops are saying and what your take is on it. I'm sure y'all seeing a lot more than what I'm seeing, a lot of different things that I'm seeing. Let me know in the comments below. Hey, like, subscribe. I'll see y'all live like we do every Monday night. UPK, I.S.U.P.K, BLACKWATCH. Talk to y'all later. I want you to stay strong in the spirit of the Lord. Hey, listen, if you like this tape, hit the like button and share it, man. Hit the share button. Everybody share it to their own personal Facebook accounts. Share this video, man, to wake up brothers and sisters all over this earth. Hit the like button. Check me out Monday night. I'm live every Monday night. I bring the heavy hitters in. We do it up live right on this same channel. I'll see you then, Israel. Y'all take care. Shalom.